Good morning, class. We have discussed in the last class about the vegetative and the asexual reproduction which happens in the plant and the different kind of animals. Now today we'll start with the sexual reproduction. Now first of all the question is that these kind of reproduction is shown by which organisms? So this is the process which is only shown by the higher organism, or you can say well-developed organisms. Well-developed organisms means the organisms which have the systems in their body and the organ system level they are having, those kind of organisms can show the sexual reproduction. It is shown by the animals and the plants as well. Now, what are the terms and conditions required for this kind of reproduction? So, as the name is suggesting that the sexual reproduction, it means two sexes must be there, and most of the time one should be the male and another should be the female. If the male and the female sexes are there, it means the gamete formation should be there. Which kind of gametes will be formed here? If it is a male sex or the male parent, then it will form the male gamete. And if it is a female parent, then it will definitely produce the female gamete. Okay. So the two conditions are here. The first, two parents or two sexes are required. The second is there should be the gamete formation. After the formation of the gamete, the third condition, the fusion of gamete should be there. Fusion of gamete means the gametes which are formed by the male and female. So both the gametes should fuse with each other, and this fusion of gamete, this process is known as the fertilization. So we can say that fertilization process is the most essential process of the sexual reproduction. Without it, the sexual reproduction will not be completed. After the fertilization, zygote formation will be there. So these are the necessary conditions for both plants and animals with, whether they are showing the sexual reproduction. First of all, we'll talk about the sexual reproduction in plants. Now, we have seen that plants also show the other kind of reproduction, that is the vegetative reproduction and the asexual reproduction. Now then the question is that which kind of plants will show this sexual reproduction, and the answer is only the developed plants. And developed plants means, we can say, if we see the classification of the plants, so the last kingdom, that is the angiosperm, these plants, the angiospermic plants or the plants which comes under this angiosperm kingdom, these plants will show the sexual reproduction. Why only these angiospermic plants will show the reproduction? Because these plants have flowers, so we can say these are the flower producing plants, and the sexual reproduction only take place in flower. Why only in flower? Because only the flower contain the male sex organ and the female sex organ. The plants other than the angiosperm, like the Calophyte, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta and Gymnosperm, these plants does not produce the flowers, and that's why they do not have the male and female sex organs, and that's why they cannot produce the gametes, and that's why the fertilization does not take place, and this kind of reproduction is not shown by those plants. Now, so here it is very much clear that the flowers are the most essential part of the plant to show the sexual reproduction in the plants. Now we'll see the parts of the flower. Which are the parts which are present? The parts which are present in the flower. So we'll see the parts of the flowers. So basically the flower consists of four parts. These are sepal, petals, androecium and gynoecium. Sepal is also known as calyx. Petal is also known as the corolla. Androecium is also known as the stamen, which is actually the male sex organ, and it is consist of two parts. One is the filament and the other one is the phylloid structure, that is the anther. If we talk about the gynoecium, the other name of the gynoecium is the pistil or the carpel, and this is actually the female sex organ in the flower, which will be made of the three parts, that is the stigma, then the long tube-like structure, that is the style, and the final is it is the ovule. So that's why we are saying that the flower is the most essential part for the sexual reproduction in the plants, because the flower consists of four parts, and out of those four parts, two are the necessary parts, that is the endoecium and the gynoecium, which are actually the sex organs and which will produce the male and female gametes. Now the flower which consists of all four types of things, that is the flower which consists of the sepal, petal, endoecium and the gynoecium, that is known as the complete flower. So what is the definition of the complete flower? A flower which consists of all four parts, that is the sepal, petal, endoecium and the gynoecium, that flower is known as the complete flower. And if any one part out of this is missing, means 1 and 2, first, second, third and fourth. So in the incomplete flower, first here all four parts will be present, but here 1 and 2 will be there, but out of 3 and 4 there may be 3 or there may be 4. That's why we are calling it is incomplete flower. And these kind of flowers can be called as the male flower or female flower. If only third part is present, then we will say it is a male flower, because third part means it is having endoecium in it, and if it is having 1, 2 and 4, it means we will say it is a female flower because the gynoecium in it. Now one more term is coming here, that is the monoecious plant and the dioecious plant. Monoecious plant and the dioecious plant. Monoecious plant, if we see the term mono means single, so a plant, we are talking about the plant, not a flower. So a plant, a single plant which contains both the sexes, a single plant which contains both type of flower which have the different sexes, that is known as the monoecious plant. Means only one plant is there and the plant is having male flower also and female flower also on the same plant, then we'll say that that plant is the monoecious plant. Dioecious plant means two plants will be there for the two sexes, means on one plant there will be male flower, on one plant there will be the female flower. So this was all about the parts of the flower, the type of the plant, the type of the flower. Now as we have already understood that what is the endoecium, endoecium is a male sex organ or the sex part of the flower, and it will definitely produce the male sex gamete. So we'll see what the endoecium is. Endoecium, as I told you, endoecium is made by the filament and the anther part. To see the structure of this anther, then what will get it? A tube-like structure. We draw it, and it is a tube-like structure, long tubular structure, and at the top it is divided into two lobes. So this tubular structure is known as the filamentous structure, and the bilobe structure is actually the anther. This anther will produce, here inside the anther there is the microspore mother cells. These MMCs or the microspore mother cells, when divide, they will show the meiosis, and after the meiosis they will form the microspores, which are actually the tetrads. These are the microspore, and these are in the form of the tetrads, means one microspore mother cell is forming 4 microspores in the form of the tetrads. So the microspores are actually the pollen grains, or you can say this is the male gametes. So male gametes are produced in the endoecium, in the anther part, which is the bilobe structure, and here the microspore mother cells are there. We show the meiosis, and after the meiosis it will form the microspores in the form of 4 cells. That's why we are calling it the tetrads. So till here we have understood about the sexual reproduction, the terms and conditions required for it, and in the plants, which kind of plant shows this kind of reproduction, what is a complete flower, incomplete flower, and everything we have discussed till here. How the male flowers or the endoecium produce the pollen grains or the microspore, we have understood. Now in the next class we'll see the structure of the ovary and how the ovary is forming the egg, and then how the fertilization is going on and taking place. We'll understand these things in the next class. Till then, bye bye, have a nice day. Thank you.